Hi, welcome to Stereoscope Podcast number 11. I'm Byron,
I'm Anthony.
I'm Sean.
and we're here for another. This is our second CES episode. That seems wild to me. CES was just about 3 weeks ago. Sort of so much stuff happened. Just an absurd amount of new tech, mostly smart glasses. It seems like. But there was some VR stuff in there as well. And there's a couple other news bits that are pretty big for the industry that are going to affect a lot of stuff going forward. And that's towards the end. And we got a couple camera things this episode too, which I'm pretty excited about. All right. So Sean, there were a bunch of XR and AR glasses announced at CES. So we're just going to do like a scramble here, run through a bunch of them.
There's a
so
ton.
many.
Yeah.
There's a
It's
ton.
like a glasses store out there.
All right. So why don't you run through them for us right here?
The in-air?
The
Is that how we
in-air
pronounce it?
glasses.
In-air.
Yeah.
In-air. It's like one word, but it's phonetically like it's what we want, right? We want a thing that you puts on your face and in the air, and it's not an actual virtual reality headset with all the sort of like social awkwardness that happens when you
The
have
implications.
yeah. This particular graph that you see up here, it has, it's an interesting box. Like it's a glasses
It
case.
reminds me of a cyber deck from
Yeah.
Johnny
Mnemonic
or Johnny Mnemonic or Cyberpunk
Mhm, mhm,
2020.
mhm.
But
They call it a touch board.
okay.
I guess because this brand doesn't really want you to pinch and interact with like their particular take on what a
So it
workspace
sort of seems like
looks like.
to me that they're going for like this is a PC, this is like
Yeah.
your laptop in a box,
Right,
but without the screen,
right.
which is sort of cool. I like that idea. Part of me just wonders like, why don't you also include a screen? But
Yeah, I think the thing is that what they're trying to say is you don't need a screen. You just need these glasses. Now you can have
Yeah.
4, 5, 7
Now you can have
screens. Yeah,
5 screens, you know.
and like that touch board is also an external battery. So
Okay,
it's designed to charge. Keep your
nice.
glasses online.
I wonder if it's wireless
I think
or if it's wired.
I think that's the idea.
Well, if it's an external battery, it's probably wired, or else
Or does it do any? Yeah, I mean, yeah, it has
it
to
could
be.
it could charge in this case thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And as you can see, there's a little mouse, there's gesture support. I think it's for folks who don't necessarily want to do this all the time,
Okay.
or want to
Yeah.
have this as a learning curve. This is familiar, and I use my keyboard when I'm on remote desktop or virtual desktop.
Yeah.
And when I'm on virtual desktop, I use my controllers to interact with my desktop on my Mac.
Yeah.
With remote, I don't, but I'm still very comfortable using my keyboard because it's just I know how to. It's familiar to me, and all the tech around the Quest is actually the keyboard's visible now on like a lot of applications, and just it's there visible. So I think that's what that's trying to do. And you're wearing glasses, so you're not really like obstructed.
Yeah.
It's an MR, it's an XR.
I know that I usually take I bring a wireless keyboard and mouse with me when I bring my Quest 3 along now because I can do like work
Yeah.
just in my headset. So this seems like same type of thing.
Yeah, which and then at some point is it reinventing the wheel? I guess except for being a battery, because like maybe I want to use the keyboard I like, and
Yeah.
the mouse I like, and
I mean,
yeah,
I
'cause
wonder.
that thing looks like an iPad keyboard or something like that. Like
Hey, but
like cramped, you know.
but for all you edge runners out there, you got your next piece.
Yeah.
Well, right.
Oh yeah, yeah. It really does look like.
All right, what's next? What else we got?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so Rokid's been around for a while. They've got there's actually another glasses in this list here, but this is
Mhm.
this is their like traditional video glasses. So
Yeah.
tell us about these?
I think these are a little more on par with if you have a prescription and you need to have you have nearsighted myopia, right?
Okay.
And you need like really exact pupillary adjustment. You've got like if for folks who don't wear glasses, they're not just like glasses on your face. Like the distance between the focal point in your eyes and where like the glass itself is engineered is an important part of maintaining focus, and also so you don't like, you know, get headaches. And there are all these other things you can add in, like blue light filters to keep yourself from like, you know, staying awake all night. So like I think that what they're trying to do is really, that's where they're pinching. They're going for Sony micro OLED. They're using like 120.
Micro OLEDs do
It's-
seem to be
yeah.
like the go-to these days.
Without getting too techie, like I think that's what they're up to.
So these are just like regular video glasses.
Yeah, but you can also, you don't need to have like, you don't need
You're not going to be
your
walking
sight.
around with
Yeah,
these.
right.
These aren't.
Right.
So, and I think one of the things that we've noticed from CES is that despite the fact that there are a lot of different types of smart glasses, some of them have lenses, or sorry, some of them have screens, some of them don't have screens. Some are just like the Meta Ray-Bans with cameras and audio.
Yeah.
But like these are just our traditional video glasses. There's a couple, and that seems to be sort of the like replacement screen thing is the thing that's like popular right now.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine that you would wear these if you're driving, you know,
I would not recommend
I mean,
wearing these while
or
driving.
just walking around your house.
Sure, yes, I could see that. You could wear these like on a train.
On it, I'm sorry.
Or like,
When I said driving, I meant commuting.
okay,
I meant
sure,
commuting.
yeah.
Sorry, I use driving in
That
my
makes
Google,
a lot more
but
sense.
I also bicycle. I wouldn't bicycle with these,
Yeah.
but I would commute.
I think you might
Wouldn't do
end
that.
up with a hematoma if you.
I mean, you're in the back of your Uber or your Lyft, and like that's not going to be weird because you're catching up with your stuff. You
Yeah.
don't have a headset on, but it's, you know, and you can check stuff. You can look around, and it just seems like it's designed to be to bridge a gap between where you live, where you work, and in between.
So Rokid is clearly, this is like another iteration of their existing video glasses lineup, just the next gen with better. It looks like
Yeah.
it's better lenses,
Yeah.
micro LED.
And they look like the Robert Downey Jr. glasses.
Okay, so what's the next one? What do we got next?
Oh, these.
Halliday. Okay,
Has anyone been getting Facebook ads for Halliday smart glasses?
I have
I've not.
actually.
But now that
Yeah.
you said that out loud, I will.
Yeah, we almost certainly will. So
One of us.
So this is one of the like types of AR glasses that they technically do have screens in them, but they're single color,
Right.
and it's like a thin membrane, but it doesn't have like, you can't like watch a video in this.
Right.
So it'll like draw. It's sort of similar in concept, I guess, to the Orion
Right.
glasses.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's,
yeah, tell us a little bit more about them.
Okay. Unlike the other glasses that we just looked at, there
Yeah.
not a, you know, a second kind of bubble. These are like glasses without bifocals, right?
So you could wear these while
You could.
driving.
You could wear them.
Yeah.
That's a you know, CES
Yeah.
photo from, and like the design is chill. It seems like it doesn't it blends in. The difference, right, is that what you're looking at is sort of more, I guess, old school graphics, you know,
Yeah.
green lines. It's designed to, I think, make you feel like you're not obstructing your collaboration or whoever you're interacting with, and they don't
Yeah.
have to care about that either.
I saw
So that's why I think it's
I
like
saw a
Facebook.
demo of these from a couple places online, and a lot of people were really impressed by these. And it's using waveguides in the same way as the Orion, and they were saying like you could have like heads up directions, like turn by turn directions. You could have real time like
Right.
translation,
Mhm.
sort of like.
And you can, because they're wave guided,
Yeah.
you can get a prescription, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think most of these glasses you sort of have to be able to get a prescription, or else they wouldn't really work correctly.
The
I
other
know
thing-
they'd be useless. For
I mean,
me.
unless you wear contacts, right? Yeah.
That's true, I guess. Yeah.
but that's like, you know,
I
300
just
years
can't-
from now.
Ugh,
Yeah, I know a lot of people. I don't know. I guess
I'm not into
I'm
it.
in the minority that can like.
Yeah.
I've been wearing contacts since like 5th grade.
You know,
They look really light too.
they look so. I thought this was a stock photo.
I'm
They
definitely
don't look.
these, especially
They're-
these.
yeah.
I am keeping in my like. I'm keeping track.
It's on the wish list.
yeah.
I wonder. Yeah, I'm really interested in sort of like this interesting, because supposedly there's a new event. There's a Meta Ray-Ban event next week that they're going to announce some new product, and I'm guessing it's going to be a direct competitor to these.
Yeah, that's the rumor I've heard is that they will have a display for you.
Yeah. But it probably won't be a complicated display. It'll be the same, like
Yeah,
turn
exactly,
by turn
yeah.
directions. That type of thing.
Well, you know, Halliday started as a Kickstarter. You know,
Oh, I mean that makes sense. Also that name.
it has nothing to do
Where's that name
with
from?
Ernest Cline's award-winning book Ready Player One.
I mean that is definitely a
I don't
choice.
believe you.
Oh,
Yeah.
actually, interesting thing I just learned. These actually come with a ring control. That's a touchpad.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. So
Oh,
you
that's
can
really
sort of
interesting.
control it
You can
wirelessly
scroll through the information
without having to
there.
wave your hand.
See, this is interesting. Like, I think this direction that we're heading, like with the Orion glasses and he keeps calling it a neural interface, but the
Yeah.
bracelet or whatever that picks up, that's interesting because people don't want to be doing this, you know, and even controllers.
Also,
and,
your arms get
get
tired
tired.
doing
If
that.
you're-
it's just because it's an unnatural thing, you know.
If you're in the back of a car, right, or even if you're driving, this is just you're resting, but without it, you're literally just using your arms and not your fingers. It's not
Yeah.
energy conservation.
Right,
It's
well-
it's I mean, okay, sure, if you're like, I don't know, if you study a martial art, then you're fine. You're completely good. But if you're like
Yeah,
adjusting
like a
a
mummy.
timeline or
right.
yeah,
exactly. It's
or
it's
getting a sandwich.
it's
you
the
know, like-
precision you need while you're doing it that makes it.
I
feel like
mean,
you're always
it's
kind
sort of like back in the day with something that might be attached to your arm that is so bad.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know what you could possibly be referring to right now, but I mean, whatever, man.
All right, so moving on. So we got a couple more glasses. So we're back to Rokid. See, and
It's another.
this seems to be the form factor that people are sort of like trying to capture, you know? Still got screens.
Right. Still got nose pads still have IPD is still a thing.
Got cameras in there.
Got these lenses. It's got, earphones. But what makes these different from the other Rokids that we just looked at?
They don't have like I don't think you can like it doesn't have like a traditional screen. It's got like a
It's got its own OS.
it's got like a HUD.
Yeah. It's a lot like the
The
Hallidays.
Hallidays, yeah.
I don't know if anyone this might be too niche, but if you watch Star Trek Enterprise, it takes place before
Yes, I
the original
watched
series and
Star Trek
before
Enterprise.
the Next Generation, and so all the interfaces in that particular universe are basically they're trying to mirror modern HUDs from like cockpits and like jet planes. So it's all green buttons that correspond to information and back. And
Instead of like the little jewels that they had in TOS.
yeah, which were colorful and fun.
Look like
but-
candy.
yeah. And but yeah, like that's the information I wonder if most of the control is actually on the actual frame, because at least in this picture, it seems like the idea is that I can see some buttons there, and I'm not sure if that's that model, but your Cyclops, right? You're working here. There's no ring control on that hand. It seems like they're trying to push this idea that this is what you'll be doing most of the time.
So I think it.
Yeah, which
I did see that
just
it's got
back
like
to the awkward.
you can pay with your voice.
That too. They
It's
also
got real time
That's
object
worked out really well for
recognition,
Amazon.
and it's got multi-language translation.
yeah, that's the other thing. This is a Qualcomm chip, so
So it's using that old AR1
Mhm.
Qualcomm chip. Okay.
yeah, like your Motorola phone chip.
Yeah.
And it's not trying to push in a Snapdragon and dump in a lot of AI. Like, it's kind of old school. It feels like it might be that entry point.
So it does seem like it's got more limited HUD information like navigation and notifications and stuff.
The other thing is,
I think that-
is object rec.
Yeah, because it's got those cameras on
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I wonder what their AI solution is going to be. Are they going to go with like ChatGPT, or are they going to come up with their own like custom situation?
Do they need one? That's kind of a funny conclusion.
do
right?
they need them?
This
Is
is
sort
a
of
funny-
like
Because like everybody's doing it, but nobody's even asking for it, right?
well, supposedly
Yeah, it's like-
supposedly on the Meta Ray-Ban glasses, the AI is like part of the biggest success of it.
Well, which makes sense. I mean, because that's one of their big products, like what they're
Mm.
really trying to push, which means they're using that as a way to push it.
Yeah.
Whereas everybody else is just like, we have an AI too.
Oh, sure.
It's a
Yeah.
bunch of like,
I think
us two guys.
I think the
AI.
AI definitely makes more sense for like a glasses form factor, because you are sort of going around looking at things, and like it has access to like visual data, especially for like, if you're lost in a city, that would be fucking amazing.
Yeah,
It's just if
like,
it works though, right? I guess
yeah,
my deep skepticism comes from like every time I Google something, I'm getting wrong answers, right? From
yeah,
the
that's
AI
true.
summary. It's like,
I mean,
Oh yeah.
all you want is to be lost and ask where you are, and have the thing completely hallucinate and be like, oh, you're in the Bronx, like.
Yeah. Well, or I mean, even the fact that would probably need an internet connection, right? So then you're like, sorry, I can't reach the, I can't reach
Oh,
the
yeah,
internet right
Sure.
now.
Yeah.
Well, it'll probably, I would imagine it would be tethered to your phone.
Well, it is a
Which
Qualcomm.
could still, I mean, you can be in a place that has so much wireless interference.
That's true. Yeah, especially
it-
someplace like CES.
Right. So, I would just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I continue to be skeptical.
There was one XR glasses that sort of stole the show, I think,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that is
Drum roll.
XReal One Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These honkers put a lot together. And if you can tell from that photograph, there is actually a second set of lenses within the actual frame, and the frame stuff I think is waveguide too.
No, so this is bird bath.
Yeah, it is.
This is the bird
So-
bath.
It's all about immersion.
Yes.
It's all about, I'm here, I'm working. I don't necessarily need to interact with someone at this point. I have, what is it, 3 degrees of freedom. You can put to like a virtual screen that's like 171 inches. That's bigger than most TVs.
Yeah.
And then like most large size TVs that are 65, the kind you see at the back of the Best Buy. But you can have several, and it's using their own custom chip. They're not even licensing to Qualcomm.
Yeah. So
That's
this is an interesting one, because they just put out the XReal One. Like I've been seeing reviews go up for it all throughout December.
Yeah.
And they just announced this, which is launching in March.
Right.
And this is a slightly improved version. So that the one that came out in December had a field of view of 50 degrees. This one has a field of view of 57 degrees. That's actually very impressive for this class's form factor. Like,
Yeah. If you go to their website though, you'll see that like, well, we don't really want to. I don't want to throw too much out there, but they really thought through their product line, and this is the latest out of I think 5 different kinds of,
mhm.
which all have their own, which are all quite similar. It's actually
It's a little confusing.
It's a
I will
little
say.
bit,
I think
because,
they need to sort
yeah.
of
uh,
condense their product line a little bit.
well, I think what they've been doing is they've been generating, iterating.
Yeah, they're
from,
rapidly iterating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so this is
I've
the
also
latest
heard
one.
that XReal are shipping a lot of product, which
Yeah, they seem to be. I mean, look, they're one of those companies that keeps coming up when
Yeah.
we're doing these podcasts,
Yeah.
and not in bad ways. So
Yeah.
it's like, well, that's good, and especially if they're developing their own stuff.
well, and I kept reading that the critical consensus from CES is best in show.
Yeah.
Like,
Star,
yeah. Star
5-star.
Yeah.
Like everyone wanted to put one of these on.
Yeah.
Were there even enough?
I'm not sure. They probably had. I mean, it's
I'm
shipping
sure.
in March, so they probably had enough for everybody. I mean, even the model is wearing one, so
That's true. That's true.
um,
Also, these were
they had the models dressed up like the Matrix.
Yeah, yeah.
I can tell just from the little bit of
Yeah,
leather.
just from the little bit of like patent leather.
Trinity over here.
But I the XReal, I'm impressed by how quickly they've grown. It seems like they're shipping a lot of product. They seem to be sort of a market leader with this form factor, and definitely somebody to keep like an eye on, especially since now that they have their own chip, they can sort of be more reliant on
Mhm.
their specific form factor. And everyone that I've heard who's tried the One Pro is like, this is it. This, like, they finally, before there was always something wrong. There was always one small issue that they couldn't recommend because of that. But most of the reviews that I've seen have said,
These
pretty
are-
great.
It kind of makes you wonder if, like, since they're actually putting out products and rapidly iterating,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, are they gonna like capture the market out from under Meta before they can get the
honestly-
Orion?
Essentially, I
think
think
it's
that's what they're
entirely-
trying to do. Yeah.
I think it's entirely possible. Mind you, Meta has
I mean, they got
FAFO
10
money,
Yeah,
but-
exactly. They got 10 years and tons of money ahead. But like, again, kind of like what Apple sort of did with the AVP, which is like perfect until they're like, oops, we're behind
Oh,
now.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is this company has been working pretty closely with a very like international standards on safety like are embedded into the hardware. Things like if you need to use this in a lab setting and you also need to use it for every day, it's kind of exceeding expectations. It's like also they're like clearly functionally designed to be a professional, like to work in a professional setting. I think that's interesting that they're not doing the other thing with the other three that we just saw, where they're minimalizing their form factor at the expense of like feature sets. So
Yeah.
I like the direction that they're going. I think
I mean,
that's
the
like
bird
whole point.
bath
They-
optics are we haven't really been able to see the video glasses.
Yeah.
When it comes to physics and the construction of these glasses, there's just a certain physical limitation to how you can get these giant screens into a glasses form factor. And it seems like bird bath optics, one of the things that I was reading is that the actual optical stack is much slimmer in this line than the Air 2 Ultras from before. So I mean, how small are they going to be able to get that in like 5 years?
Or
I'm
because
curious.
the Air 2, that was just a year ago, right?
That was
I
a
feel
year ago.
That
That
was
was
literally what we were reporting.
that was
a
like
year ago.
at CES last year.
Yeah. So I mean, that's in 1 year. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that was sort of the range of XR headsets that were at CES, and it seems like most likely we'll see even more next year. And I think we're finally in this sort of era where the headsets have gone from potentiality to reality.
Yeah.
And that's exciting because immersive entertainment is going to be able to, especially on the glasses with screens, you can already watch 3D content on them, which I think is great. And it means that, maybe eventually someday we'll be able to get, a slightly wider field of view. You may be able to watch, VR immersive videos in there eventually. I mean, even right now you can just watch spatial videos too. So I think that's pretty cool. And even the on the beam, it got a stereo
The
scopic
beam
camera.
Yeah, this
Right.
is another thing I noticed. I didn't know if you really wanted to dive into it, but
I just wanted to mention the
Yeah.
stereoscopic camera on there.
yeah, it's a separate computing puck that is optional as part of the X1 Real line, and it expands the potential for this to not just be like a multimedia device, but actually a creator device, because there are cameras that are mounted on the beam.
Yeah.
I think they're even like eye widths aside.
Yeah, I
and
think
there's
it's got a traditional
Yeah.
65 millimeter IPD. All right, but there was a VR headset that stole the show.
Oh yeah.
too.
The the product is called Play for Dream.
Yeah, Play for Dream MR.
It's a mixed reality set that can do what the XReal can do, but in the form factor of an old-fashioned Apple Vision.
I mean, it looks pretty familiar. Looks pretty familiar.
But in black,
Yeah.
that's innovation for you.
The difference is isn't using Apple; it's using a Android XR OS. Well, it's Google's Project Muhin is building an XR MR OS, trying to build a
It seems very fortunate for them that
gosh.
that their Android XR is launching right around the time that this is coming out.
It's also a Chinese company. When you develop a product that has this much iteration, but it's based off of other iterations, and it's all open source.
I mean, it looks
Yeah.
impressive. Look at it. I mean, it's got a nice design. It looks
Yeah.
very familiar, honestly.
Yeah.
But I kept hearing consensus from CES that Play for Dream sort of wowed them.
Yeah.
That it was much better than everyone expected.
Mhm.
A lot of people were very skeptical of it, but it's got some really decent hardware in there. It's got
Snapdragon.
the same BOE 4K micro OLEDs as the Pimax Air that they announced a couple months ago.
Oh, right.
And those are really, really great panels. They're not the same as the Sony ones, but from what I've heard is the BOE panels are very similar in quality to the Sony panels. They're also in the Apple Vision Pro.
So much of the hardware set seems like they're doing this for half a cost, right? It's maybe it's not 3,500. It's lightweight. It doesn't have a lot of,
Yeah, I don't think they've announced a price yet, but they said it's going to be under $2,000, which
well, no, actually, I CES, I think they mentioned it was gonna be under the 2, but above 13.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. That's honestly, and we were saying this last episode about the Android XR headset. I'm still convinced that they won't ship for more than $2,000. I just think that that's a psychological price point that most people are just like, I can't legitimize that.
Yeah.
Most people now pay, between $500 to $1,500 for their iPhone. So that for a headset, which is also a spatial computer, I would say $1,500 is probably the sweet spot for these types of devices to be able to ship.
Like on the higher end, right? Like ultimately on the higher end, that's where you want.
For sure.
Because I think, again, doubling or tripling that is where you're getting it.
I mean, we'll wait for some reviews. I'm going to try and see if we can get a review sample for the Play for Dream when it comes out, because we are starting to get some review samples, because we're sort of pivoting into hardware reviews as well, because I think it fits the channel pretty well. We're also trying to figure out like a format that sort of more interestingly structures the Stereoscope brand. We'll talk more about that in the future, but I'm excited for this Play for Dream headset. I mean, the guy from Upload VR was really wowed. He said it was the best mixed reality pass-through that he'd ever seen.
Yeah.
Even compared to Apple's. And Apple's is the best that I've seen.
Yeah.
Sean, did you ever end up doing the demo?
No,
the AVP demo?
I haven't actually. I haven't actually done.
We should do another.
We should all
one.
do another one.
Yeah, with you guys.
That'd give us a chance to look at something.
And we should force them to let us watch the videos.
Yeah, that sounds like I just want to watch the new episodes.
I think this thing also has that outsider vibe that you need when you're pushing the edge and you're bleeding all over the place. It's just mavericky enough to be like, yeah, we see what you want, we can do better, and it's not tied to a price point or brand. It's not tied to a distributor really even. It's just kind of like technology.
Yeah, so what we're talking about now is there was this big announcement at a couple days ago that Google is buying part of HTC Vive's VR team, which
interesting.
This is very interesting because if you know anything about HTC's VR efforts, it is that they have consistently sort of fumbled the ball. Over time, they keep making these headsets that are almost great and then just aren't powerful enough, or they've got a weird form factor, or they're lacking some important feature. And HTC does seem to have more corporate clients, so I think they're able to keep themselves ahead. But over time, their last headset totally flopped. I heard it was incredibly uncomfortable. It had a sort of modular design, so it could be sort of glasses too, but it wasn't comfortable when you were wearing it in glasses mode. It was too heavy. And so HTC it sounds like Google, they're worried about how far ahead that Meta is of them. And so it seems like this is a very tactical and strategic acquisition of HTC's underperforming VR team. I think this is going to be big for Google because it means that they can sort of gain back some ground quickly that they may have lost to their abandoning
I was gonna say
VR.
that they willfully gave up.
Yeah, that they if they and the most frustrating thing about that is that if they had just kept their eyes on the ball, they could honestly already be ahead of Meta. They're transferring a bunch of engineers to Google, and they're also getting non-exclusive rights to some of HTC's extended reality IP, so they can use some of their tech that they've already developed, and Google can just get access to it.
Yeah.
Which is going to be big for them. They've also talked about how this is going to create a long-term partnership between them for future projects. I'm guessing probably other, another Pixel device or tablet or something like that. Yeah.
More competition for Apple.
Honestly, it's smart. I was sort of expecting something like this to happen just because Google seems to be making waves in the industry about how they're not going to give up this time. They're in this for the long.
They're never going to give you up.
Yeah.
Just wait for Google to rickroll us all.
Yep.
I swear this time it'll be different.
And, going into the next topic, Samsung had their Unpacked event just after CES. They usually do this every year. They're usually not available on CES, the floor, because they want to do it themselves. They have their own event.
Yeah.
But they did do a big final reveal of Google did their Android XR reveal last month. Samsung now is doing their reveal of Project Muhan, which they still don't have a name for, which I think is...
Yeah, at this point, it's getting silly.
It's getting silly at this point, definitely, especially since so much is already leaked.
It's only been a month, though.
Yeah, but we've known a lot of stuff about this headset.
Eventually it's going to
almost a year.
stick, right?
Yeah.
They're just going to call it the movie.
So it's on Android XR, and it's got 4K micro OLEDs. It's got Snapdragon XR2 Plus Gen 2, which is the same one as the Play for Dream. Eye tracking. There was some sort of curiosity about whether it had eye tracking. It does have eye tracking. But from all of the various attention, supposedly it's very impressive. I mean, I would sort of expect it to... Samsung is probably one of the best hardware manufacturers in the business, comparable to Apple. I think their software is consistently the problem.
Well, yeah, Samsung phones are known for taking that Google OS and really
They're
trying to
notorious
make
for
it-
bloatware.
Yeah, that's, I think, kind of what they're up to. But they have all these other things that they're doing, like the pen interface. Like they've always been trying to push it a little bit.
Well,
So
they're
what do
looking
they
for
do?
differentiation,
Yeah.
right? But
With an AR set, like an XR.
Well, and it looks like
with
they're
HTC.
following Apple Vision Pro in that it's going to have
Yeah.
a battery pack with like a custom
Right.
like it's using USB-C, so you could swap out the battery for whatever. But it like locks in there because it's got like one of those like
Mhm.
holes in there. It's got physical controls on the actual device,
it's like a touch sensor, right?
and it's got a touch sensor
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the right strap. It's got Gemini, of course, because it's running Google, or Android XR, that is. Circle to search, which
Yeah, I saw the
Marquez
demonstration.
Brownlee, he did a video on this, and he sort of illustrated that anything within your field of view is searchable and can be brought up using Gemini, which again, we're getting into the AI models in here.
Just Google image search. I mean, yeah, that's literally what. he did mention that the problem that the gesture is something like this, and because it's this direction, your hand always ends up in the
In
picture.
the actual,
Yeah.
so it's like, oh, are you searching for your hand?
That's-
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh, that seems like such an easy software fix. Like, oh, I mean, it hasn't even shipped yet though. So I think it's good that we finally saw this from Samsung themselves. We're starting to get actual specs on it, though
Yeah.
they're still being a little cagey about some of it. I think between the Play for Dream, between this, the AVP, we're finally getting non-meta products that need to be in this space because, you know, some very clear reasons.
Competition breeds innovation.
Yes.
Innovation breeds more Jedi.
Yeah, I'm excited. I would say this is probably gonna be $2,000 though. I don't think that they're gonna launch that much lower.
It is the same.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, to me, the next closest competitor is actually the Play for Dream.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
You're
Well,
right,
yeah.
and yeah, this is a Korean company, as
Yeah.
we all remember.
Yeah.
Muhan means infinity in Korean,
Hmm.
so they're never going to change the name
Yeah,
forever.
it's going on
and ever and ever.
into perpetuity. Maybe that's why they haven't changed the name yet, because it
Means
is in
infinity.
Yeah.
perpetuity. All right. Moving on. So we've got some camera stuff now.
Camera stuff.
We're into Anthony territory. So Slam.
Okay.
So
Slam X.
this is interesting because we covered this in one of our first episodes when it was just a phone. Do you remember that?
I don't. Was it the same?
It's the same
company?
company.
Same company.
Yep.
Interesting.
They completely retooled their thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems really interesting. So, the quick rundown here. It's a Kickstarter. Currently, I think
Yeah.
they're at. I mean, the Kickstarter is funded. It was $10,000 goal. They're at
They
70,000
blew
plus.
past it. Yeah.
Really? Only 10,000 bucks?
Yeah, I mean, you know, they probably it's just a way to get prototyping money, basically. I
pretty
think. So the rundown: 8K, 30p,
Okay.
or 5.7K 60.
It seems like that's sort of like the threshold for consumer cameras.
The baseline, which is
Yeah.
not quite good enough, but it's
Yeah.
good enough.
But with,
with
AI,
scaling and yada yada,
like-
yeah,
AI frame interpolation is actually pretty good.
it is.
So
For as cheap a device is, I mean, these are, I think the cheapest is $9.99 through the Kickstarter, and then they go up to like $16.99
mhm,
post Kickstarter.
yeah.
Because they have like 3 models, which is funny. We'll get into that in a second. But again, another Snapdragon. This thing is in everything.
Is it running what?
It is running a version of Android. but
Okay,
it
so it's
seems
like
like
a
it
custom
is a
Android.
custom thing, and it's purpose built around shooting video. So
Interesting.
But it is running Android. Like you can install apps and do all that other stuff, but you can
Whoa.
do things like adjust your horizontal disparity and vertical disparity.
Whoa.
In camera.
In camera.
So it's interesting. So
And I'm guessing that's a touchscreen on the back.
yes, it's a big touch screen. I forgot what the size of the screen is, but it's more software device than camera device, basically. Like the short
Interesting. Yeah.
my conclusion so far is, and granted this is unreleased, they have really great looking software and really powerful, like the potential in this thing is really high
Mhm.
because it is basically a computer with
And
a
it
camera
has
attached to it.
long-term capability.
That's what I'm saying, like extensibility.
Yeah.
Um,
Possibly.
Possibly, right? But the door is open there because it does not shoot to SD cards. So
Oh, so you're gonna need
an external
an
drive.
external drive,
Or,
okay, which is
The flavors
maybe
of,
better, but
Yeah, the flavors that the other models, which is like the basic.
so
Yeah. So it's the basic,
Mhm.
the plus, and the plus plus, which come on, guys.
it's just storage.
the plus
space.
plus. Well, it's RAM and storage actually. So it's like let me pull it up here. It's 8 and 128,
Okay.
then 16 and 256 and 24 and 512 for the plus plus.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So which is interesting because so for a device that's somewhat purpose driven,
Yeah.
like you either have enough RAM or you don't. So I'm a little.
That's why I was like, what do you think what's the RAM upgrade
So
for? You're not going to be running games
I'm
on
sure
this
it makes
thing.
it better, but then is that like, does that mean the basic is not good?
Yeah.
Like, is at the very minimum, and then like, why would you sell it that way? I understand the extra memory built in. Um,
The
so
storage space makes sense.
it
The
does.
RAM thing
it
is a
does.
little weird.
So this is one of the things that's interesting about it is it does run at like up to 100 megabits per second, like recording.
Yeah.
Which is,
pretty
but that's like the minimum.
That's very low.
That is very, especially for 8K.
And
that is very low.
exactly. And I think the only reason it works is because it's 8K30, right?
Okay.
And it is 10-bit video, or it's capable of 10-bit video if you don't shoot in Rec 709. So that's impressive.
I wonder if they could increase that with
That's what I'm
software
wondering.
updates.
So a lot of times the reason you have a lower overall bit rate coming out is because the memory cards are limited in what they can receive.
Yeah.
But this thing has got built-in storage, and you can plug in a USB drive and run at it's now it is USB 3 Gen 1, so it's not the full speed, but still you can run a high speed memory, but the internal memory should be enough for higher than 100 megabits per second.
That's nice.
And based on the video samples that I looked at, that seems to be the biggest issue with the image coming out of it is it's highly compressed.
Okay.
And so it has some really interesting, like the edge to edge sharpness is fantastic.
Yeah.
But there's some sync issues between the things.
Sure.
Now I think they're aware of this and they're working on it.
Just to be clear, we have been in communication with Slam, and they're going to be sending us a review sample in the future.
Yeah, closer to launch.
Closer to launch when they've got more of the bugs worked out. I just wanted to make that a little bit of transparency.
I mean, this thing is still very early, and again, I think the beauty of it being such an open software platform that they're developing.
I mean, it makes it really. It makes the potential for. I mean, if you can manage disparity on camera, mind you, that's only for professionals. Nobody who's not a professional should be messing with anything like that. But also like the ability for like live streaming,
streaming, live
like
stitching,
it even says that they're going to be working on live streaming.
Yes, it skips a lot of post steps.
Okay.
So that's really cool, and that might be where you would want to buy one with like more RAM, so that you can do more like maybe there's a possibility for AI upscaling and frame interpolation on device. That could be really interesting.
That's really cool. Okay, I will be very honest. Like there's a couple devices that we've talked about it many times of the next Evo, the next consumer camera that solves
the comparison.
a bunch of consumer problems. I think something like this or another product we're going to be talking about in a little bit would be perfect for somebody who, like myself, who does a bunch of just like fun little stuff outside of our professional projects, where, I want to go to like a theme park and take it in the theme park, or go to like a river or something and or if I go on like a day trip to Seattle or something, I can have something on me that isn't gonna, a full professional rig. Right. This would be perfect.
Fits in your pocket.
It would be great. It is, it's basically the size of a iPhone Max, but much thicker. But like the overall,
and it looks like it's got the full IPD.
Yeah, I think they advertised 65 on this.
Nice.
Yeah,
and it's got all of your like traditional, like camera controls, like ISO adjustment and that type of thing.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I know that it has a range. I looked at like it's got kind of standard range of like 640 to 2000 ISO and stuff like that. I've seen some issues about like maybe there's a variable shutter or variable frame rates. These are all like, in the comment section on the Kickstarter. So we're reserving judgment on all that stuff until we get our hands on it.
Gosh.
And this is like a community project from what I was reading, that it was sort of some people who are trying to solve a problem. It's not like a giant company.
Yeah, it's some folks from Denmark, I believe.
Yeah, and they were using DOVR video creators as like sort of a test bed.
Yeah.
To like sort of bounce information off, like, should we do this? Should we do that? I think that's pretty cool. I mean, we'll see. The proof really is in what the final video quality is like.
Yeah.
I hope they get it right, because desperately want there
we
to be
all
new
really want
options.
another Evo. I mean, so
Yeah.
the Evo, look, I think it actually was only like 2019 when that thing came out, and they discontinued it by 2020.
I don't understand.
Such an interesting.
And they never did a follow-up.
They never
either.
did a
Like,
follow-up.
they keep putting out the.
It's like they treated it like a failure. It's everybody's favorite pocket 360 camera. I mean, like it was great. It was $500. It did 100 megabit video back then, 5.7K.
Yeah.
I mean, really impressive for
internal
the time.
stabilization.
Yeah, 6-axis.
Oh,
gyro.
that was
This
another.
also has that. This has 6-axis.
Well,
gyro.
I think actually, Hugh was saying that it has anti-shake.
Oh yeah, you know what? Yes, they call it 6-axis, but it doesn't do the rotation as
It doesn't
well.
do rotation.
So it's good for like you're hand holding in a car and it'll take
Yeah.
the shake out, but you don't want to be walking around with it. It's not.
But that is definitely something that could possibly add in.
I believe so. Yeah, I mean,
we're not saying that they are.
yes,
But
that sounds like something you could do if the gyros are in the device. You
Yeah.
just got to build the algorithm.
because that rotational, I've said it. I've said on here many times that the perfect VR180 consumer shooting device would be a camera built onto a gimbal or usable with a gimbal that uses both internal stabilization data from gyros on the camera itself and a gimbal.
But this has
possibly. What's interesting is in a lot of cases, like in the 2D world anyway, you want to absolutely turn off your stabilization before you put it on a gimbal.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but it just depends on the device. But if they're talking to each other, that could make the difference. Yeah.
Okay.
So the Evo didn't have a post-processing setup. That it was too early, right?
Well,
Well,
it,
it did have-
it actually had software because it wrote to these weird files like INSF files or ISF
But you can
files.
stream 100.
Well, it uses Insta360 Studio.
Right. So they had like
And
easy
there
stitching
technically was
software.
an app at one point,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's long defunct.
Yeah, all that stuff is one of the reasons why. Yeah, again, we wanted a replacement. So I mean, obviously, people are trying to step in and do that. The CAV, Visense, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nobody's quite hitting the mark.
Yeah.
Well, this is solving so many problems at once. Like, it's like having a Filmic Pro, like, but in a camera that's designed
Yeah.
to work for stream. Like, this is a streamer, and like it's built with Max. It's built like this.
Mind you, there aren't a lot of places that
It's-
can accept live streaming yet.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right,
VOVR's working on it.
That's-
I think there's a couple platforms that are working on it. Nobody's sort of solved it yet, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's
except for Google 5 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. yeah.
8K live.
All right,
streaming.
but
So-
there is another,
So the other option, yes, the other option that has
yeah.
popped up recently,
and this is fascinating to me because
This
I
is-
had not even heard about this.
really, really interesting. So the Kandao QCam 3 Ultra that was released in August of 24
Okay.
is what this thing is based on, and a modern named, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing this right, Seung Chi
Okay.
created this mod
So it's a mod for the Qualcomm
for the
3 Ultra.
QCam 3 Ultra.
Okay.
So as you can kind of see from these
So
pictures here,
I will be very honest. I am very reticent for mods.
yes,
That's just a uncomfortable. I know in the camera world, it's just sort of something that happens,
I
you
mean,
know.
even in the camera world, people don't necessarily. I mean, it depends on what it is and whether would want to tackle it, right?
Sure.
And so they obviously this modder has done a great job with like the mod kit itself, and
So it's a full mod kit.
yeah. So as you can see here, you know the specs from the Kandao, right?
Yeah.
A great camera, like
Mhm.
150,
I've heard it's definitely a favorite in
Yeah.
the 360.
150 megabit per second video.
Dang.
Again,
it's higher than the
yeah.
yeah.
AK30, 10-bit HDR. Like
Mm.
it's got a lot of great specs.
And I've seen footage from it, and
It looks great.
pretty good,
Yeah.
honestly,
It has slightly larger sensors than the
than the Slam.
Slam. Only slight, like 0.02.
Oh,
whatever,
okay,
you know,
so-
very slight. They're basically comparable.
So at that
Uh,
point, it's coming down to a software difference.
Yeah, well, yes. Okay. And so you have all the modes there. What makes this interesting is that obviously there's this mod. You can see from there the whole thing that you like pull one camera off the back, put it into this new casing, and mount that onto the front.
Oh, look, they put in a little
Put in a leveler,
there.
which is great.
That's
like
honestly,
it
that's
really is
absolutely
nice. That's
necessary.
a really nice thing. One of the things you do give up is this camera is actually like waterproof until you mod.
Until you do the mod, of course.
But I don't know how many people are would taking that thing underwater.
Yeah.
This is a big deal
James
right
Cameron.
here, though. The fact that the modder made it in QCam Studio supports the VR180 setup. So they stepped in and modified the software so that you could use,
That's
like, that you could
so
still use Studio
cool.
to process the footage out of this mod. That's huge and so cool. Like, it's one of those things you usually
Well, because
do
they
not
know that they're
see.
going to sell a bunch more of these cameras that way.
I'm now interested.
No, exactly.
was completely.
I was not interested in their 360 camera.
So-
Now I am interested in their camera.
This is very cool. I'm very impressed with what, and like, I went through the modding process. It is kind of intimidating, but there's no soldering. Just like,
Yeah.
you got to pick up some, cables, and
Okay.
it looks like the most extensive thing is like relocating the spatial mics, because it does have spatial audio.
Mhm.
So you're having to relocate the mics to the front, like near the lenses.
Man, I would love
in
to
the
get a
new-
review sample of
in the
this
new
too.
case.
Like, maybe we can reach out to them.
Yes, I think we will.
Okay.
The pricing is pretty decent. So if you're gonna buy the Q3U by itself, it's $599, and then you would spend $100 on the kit. Do it yourself, risk it yourself. For just another $100 more, they'll do it for you.
Okay. Well, that's
Probably worth it.
that's probably worth it, because I
uh,
know that I would probably.
Yeah. I mean, I
Messed
liked
it up.
even the way they worded it on this like Reddit post that I pulled
Yeah.
this from, was like, it's on me to make the mistakes in the modding process. You're guaranteed to get a functional camera. It's my bad if it doesn't.
That's
So
I
that's
I
great.
appreciate that.
I mean, really. I mean, there's a
That's
there's
actually
a lot
better.
of,
It's like a mini, like a
Do
warranty.
they give you?
there's a lot
Do
of
they
straight
give
up
you all the
honesty.
stuff that the Quocam came with?
Yes, I mean, it looks like, see, with all original accessories there
Oh,
in the
okay,
box.
cool.
So they just, it looks
Yeah,
probably
you
like
got the,
redo the box a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's well thought out. I skipped past it, but like, one of the things shown off here, and it's kind of one of those things where I didn't touch on it, and it's inherent in the design, I think, but it is spaced out enough that your hands aren't in the shot.
Oh,
That's
thank
actually
God.
really thoughtful,
Yeah,
right?
that is thoughtful, because
that-
I can't tell you. I mean, one of the things that sort of frustrates me about the design of the Slam Cam is that how are you supposed to hold that thing?
You don't go like this.
Yeah,
right?
you gotta go.
Yeah.
You gotta do the
Yeah,
like
yeah.
claw thing,
Right.
and it almost certainly has to be on a gimbal.
Yeah.
Um.
And this one does have the 6-axis gyroscopically,
Oh,
stabilized
you were
video.
telling me that it has supposedly best in class stabilization,
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's
For
best
device
in
like
class,
Okay.
probably,
but like it's up
but
there.
I did see sample clips of handheld walking footage, and it was really good, surprisingly good.
Slap a gimbal on there.
Maybe
and-
even better, because there was gimbal footage, and like the thing, I have a hang up with gimbal footage of walking, and it has this real, all the footfalls
Mhm.
bouncing.
Well, you
there was
gotta get a
actually-
Z-axis stabilizer.
Exactly. There was less of that in the handheld walking than the gimbal. So,
Interesting.
but it is like perfectly synced. There's no like sync issues. They've done a ton of tests to make sure there's no drift between the cameras, which again is, Candow did a great job on their design.
Yeah.
But that's one of those things that even going back to the Z cams, we had issues with sensors getting out of sync,
We
even in
did,
built-in
yeah.
cameras. So like that kind of guarantee is great to see.
Genlock. That's
Big deal.
a big deal.
It's essential, really.
Yeah.
It's because it's one of those things that's very hard to fix, if it's even possible to fix, depending on where you're shooting.
Yeah.
So
That-
this is a really impressive. So for the pricing and the fact that like it's kind of hardware coming out of a established manufacturer, yada yada, software support, all that stuff. Pretty impressive what you could get out of this for the money.
Yeah, and it perfectly slots into that, because it seems like we're not really. I think the era of $400.
No, I mean
VR180
inflation took care of that.
shooters. Yeah, I think the $400 VR180 shooters has gone the way of the dodo.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean,
But I mean, even with the mod, it's $799.
Yeah.
Okay,
You get
That's-
yeah,
not bad. I
$800
mean-
bucks for an 8K handheld, pretty easy to use, seemingly.
and I mean,
Yeah.
if you slap in a little bit of AI with that, use Topaz or something.
yeah, give you some extra frames.
Extra frames, and even like some denoising, some sharpening.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, more tests would need to be done. I know for us, low light is a huge deal. We're always
Yeah.
trying to get a better, get faster, better low light. I
Mhm.
do believe this has got. Let me look up the numbers here. This does have a more wide open aperture built in.
So it's going to be better with,
So yeah,
slightly better with low
I
light.
did not get a number for this on the Slam X Cam. They didn't have anything
they were a
published.
little cagey with that.
But like to give you the Evo was an f2.2 and this is an f1.6.
Oh, okay.
So that's like a full stop faster.
Wow. So yeah, you get a little bit extra
Yeah, it's twice as much light,
headroom. Yeah.
literally.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Quick
So this would actually be significantly better for low.
Yeah,
low
than
light.
the Evo.
Than the Evo,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah.
All this, I mean, there's sensor issues and all that
Yeah.
stuff that goes into this. It's not that straight ahead.
I got a quick question for you, Anthony.
Yeah.
This is the VR180 Candle, and there's a 360, the smaller.
No, so that's what this is. This is the 360.
This is the 360, and they've turned it into a 180.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can get that 360 for like $360 on like B&H.
Well, this one is the Ultra. It's
Yeah,
$599.
the Ultra. Okay, that's a big difference. If you look up, you can. I don't know if you can tell on this image versus like the mod.
The size.
Then,
difference.
yeah, there are small differences in the dimensions and specs, so don't get the wrong camera.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, make sure you get the right one.
Yeah, this is specifically for the Ultra. Don't.
Yeah.
You're not getting a great deal if you see it for $300. That's a different camera.
So at least it looks like we're getting some decent, actual, real options. I guess we don't have final samples yet for any of them.
Yeah, well,
Because the calf looked like it was going to be or the Visense, whatever it was called.
Yeah. There's a lot of promises made and not kept. Some kept. They have upgraded. Some people are quite happy with it after they've upgraded it.
From what I've heard, yeah, the calf, now that they've finally clawed back their feature set, it seems like some people are, but there were a lot of people who were initially very, very annoyed with what
they got. Yeah. It's definitely hard to buy a camera or any device based on what you think it might become later. You got to buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
one other little cute thing is that little plug in the back where it says S. You can get a custom.
That's cool.
You can ask for different up to 3 letters, up to 3
like,
characters on the back.
So we could put like an
custom
S for stereoscope or something.
Something
You could put 3 letters?
up to 3. Yeah.
So we could put like Stereoscope Productions LSO SPL.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
something like that, you know.
It's like I'm not sure what we do. Maybe just do
Yeah.
SP.
I would love to test the quality to see if it's a viable option.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then most likely, if things work out, we'll have that Slam Cam sometime around the launch of that. And
It should be March, by the way.
yeah, so we're really trying to get into reviews for products that are relevant to the channel. So like glasses, headsets, cameras, because that seems like that's the most consistent stuff for Stereoscope and most relevant for us. So if you have a product you want to launch, or if there's an immersive video, we have a review of, it's going to be a light review, more of an industry analysis for Human Within next month. And that's going to be a little bit more, not so much as a critical review, much more of a, how does this fit within the landscape? And we'll have some footage from that and our own experiences. We all have codes for it, so we're all gonna watch it individually. So looks like that's the end of CES episode. It was a lot of fun stuff this month.
Industry's heating up. It's pretty cool. I'm excited to see these like fancy headsets and better cameras. I mean, like, I love to see all the attention on the industry.
Absolutely. And it makes it, we have some projects, big projects in the works that we can't talk about, but we're going to be really busy for the next couple months. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but it might come up that we end up missing a month, but we also have some other videos coming up. We have our gaming videos that we're going to try to get out the door. The Z-Axis gaming show, which is under the Stereoscope brand, but we're creating a new sub-brand. It's called Z-Axis. It's our gaming show. That's coming up later this month. Stay tuned for that. And so Stereoscope signing out.